The weekly warm pipe.
Where are you going? Where are you coming from? Sneaking back there.
I was trying to grab something, and I thought of it last second.
Last second. Welcome to Turbo Time. Turbo Town.
That's Turbo Tap time. I'm Turbo Man.
There we go. Yeah, we're going to be diving in about the TurboGraFx 16. I wore my Devil's Crush shirt right here that I got.
Pretty slick.
Pretty good one.
And I grabbed my
Nice.
TurboGraFx Mini.
It's pretty big for a mini, I'd say.
Oh, it's definitely.
Well, compared to you got an SNES Classic right there.
You know what? I do actually have an SNES Classic right here. Let me grab it.
You got a banana for scale. There's the NES one. So it's like two NESs next to each other.
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Okay. I didn't get a chance to pick one of those up, and I looked recently, but they're still so expensive.
So I got mine on my birthday the year they came out, and how I got it was I just happened to be checking Amazon, and it was like one in stock. So I think someone had bought it and returned it, and I think I paid $129 for it. So
Okay.
I don't think that was the original price, but it didn't seem too bad. So I was like, all right, I'm doing it.
Right. Because, I don't know. I mean, I guess we could look up now and see what the heck they're going on Amazon.
Yeah, I have no.
Under it, or
it might have been 119. It was like just a little over 100, but like when I got it, it had like a return label stuck on the box that I had to carefully peel away.
Gotcha. Let's see. I'm seeing a bunch of controllers. There's a wireless controller. It just has no price, currently unavailable on that one. Yeah, I don't think you can get it. There's one renewed. No, I think that's an original one. That's not a mini. $500
for the original OG.
Wow. Well, on Amazon.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah, you can charge whatever you want.
I don't see anything on Amazon for that. So who knows? You have to go to eBay or buy it at a game store or game convention.
Well, Russ, I kind of want to start at the beginning.
At the beginning.
What is your memory of the TurboGraFx 16 from when you were a kid?
It's not a whole lot. The most that stands out in my mind is my buddy Justin growing up. I remember he lived probably, I don't know, like 8 blocks away from me. We'd all kind of get together in the general neighborhood. And I remember going over his house and seeing Bonk's Adventure for the first time on there. And I was like, wow, this is pretty neat. And even the controller was a little odd, right?
Right, yeah.
Shaped a little bit different, and it said run instead of start, right? I was like, okay,
right.
That's a little odd.
Right. Yeah.
But I only ever played it and seen it at his house. Out of all my friends' groups and everything, no one else had a TurboGraFx 16. And I don't even remember a lot of ads for it, right? You go through a comic book and there'd be tons of video games ads, and it was mostly just like Sega or Nintendo stuff. I don't think I'm sure there was TurboGraFx stuff, but I don't remember it.
Are you still friends with that guy today?
I've seen him maybe 8 years ago or so, and his brother was actually reached out to me, and I did a music video for his brother. He was doing some rapping, and we got together, and I did that, but not in recent years. He might have come in when I worked at the game store.
I would love to know his story. Like, why did he choose this, or who bought this for him, or how did he get it? Because
right.
I just don't remember kids clamoring for this thing the way they were, either the Genesis or the Super NES or even the NES.
Right.
So I'll tell you my first memory of the TurboGraFx 16. So September of '92, my buddy TJ invited me to his birthday to spend the night, and it was basically just me and TJ hanging out, getting pizza, hanging out. Well, his mom brings in this big box, and she opens up the box, and it's a Super NES. And so we, the first thing I just remember is oh my gosh, thing looks so crazy and futuristic. So we're playing it. We're playing Mario World. We're getting on Yoshi. My mind's just blown. All I can think about is how am I gonna get this system? So, I go home that after that night, and, my mind is, like, filled with Super NES, and I'm starting to see more Super Nintendo commercials, and it's weird because I don't remember seeing Super Nintendo commercials previous to me seeing his Super Nintendo.
Right.
I don't know if it's just, like, when it came into my conscious or if I just didn't think about it as a possibility until I saw TJ had it. So, uh, fast forward maybe, it might have been around October, got a wish book in the mail from, like, Sears or something. So I'm flipping through the wish book looking for the Super Nintendo, and also there was a lot of Sega Genesis commercials, so in my mind, I'm, like, debating, "Alright, I really, really, really love the Super Nintendo, and I love Mario World, but the Sega is also kind of alluring because Sonic's pretty cool," and, I'm trying to figure out which I'm gonna get. So I open this book, and I see the Super NES, I see the Sega, and then I see this other thing, TurboGrafx 16, and I'm like, "What is this thing? Like, how come I've never heard of this?" And I remember thinking, even as, like, an 11-year-old kid, yeah, it was probably very similar to this ad right here. But I remember thinking that if they had to call it TurboGrafx, they
Hmm.
probably like, I almost, like, thought, like, "Oh, they're just trying to hype this thing up. It can't be as good as the Super Nintendo," even though Super Nintendo is called Super, you know.
Super versus turbo. Uh-huh.
Yeah, 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 so I don't know why I was so biased towards the Super NES, and I'm like, I didn't have a problem, but TurboGrafx seemed too obvious to me, you know? Um, and I just remember thinking how odd the system looked. Like, it just looked so strange. It's shaped kinda like a T almost, like,
Right, right, with the power bank in the back.
yeah, it had, like, the weird orange, like, logo, and I remember looking at the games, and I thought Bonk's Adventure looked pretty cool
I mean,
'cause he
compared to the PC Engine here, which they
oh, it's
got,
huge.
it's like such a cleaner, more compact system, but bringing it over stateside again with like, America, everything was like big and bulky in the, I guess, 80s and 90s. So a lot of what the TurboGrafx is empty and the
Right,
main component is in there. But you're comparing it to like a VCR that you would get, back then, and like, okay, that's a big device. Because I think the main thing would be like, oh, this costs X amount of dollars. Why is it so small? You feel like you're
right,
getting
right,
more worth it if it's bigger.
right, yeah, for sure. But I just remember seeing it and just, like, the Super NES, I think, was 129 or 139. The Sega was $10 cheaper, so it was either 119 or 129, but then the TurboGrafx was 99.99, and all I can remember thinking was, I wouldn't have to save up near as much money if I chose this one.
Right.
But the only problem was I didn't know what it was, I just knew that the Super NES was great because 'cause I'd played it, and then
Right.
all this advertisement for the Sega made me like, maybe I'd choose that one, but I had no idea what this TurboGrafx 16 was, and I bought my Super NES November of that year, like, so just, like, 3 months later,
Hmm.
and I never thought about the TurboGrafx again until I became a retro gamer, like, what was it, 10 years ago? And I was
Uh-huh.
like, and then I started thinking about all those things, and I was like, "Oh, yeah, the TurboGrafx, I forgot that was even a thing."
Right.
But anyway, I just thought it was so interesting because, like you said, you had one friend that had it. I had no
Hmm.
friends that had it. Not to my
Right.
knowledge anyway.
Right. Right. So how many could have been sold throughout the cities, I guess, or whatever, distributed
Right,
to the kids? Because then, you go to school and you'd think maybe one of the kids got one for Christmas or be talking about it and they get the word like Super Nintendo. Oh, I got a Turbo Graphics. Wait, what is that? Like, never heard of
right,
that.
right.
But I don't remember any word of mouth at school about Turbo Graphics.
Yeah, have you ever seen Pat Country's video on how he got his?
I don't think so.
So it's actually quite interesting.
Uh huh.
Pat saw this newspaper article, and it was like fill out this or answer some questions, and you could win a free TurboGrafx 16, blah, blah, blah. So whatever the stipulation was, he did it. He mailed it to the newspaper, and then he kind of forgot about it. And it was like right around Christmas, and I think he just got the Super Nintendo, or maybe it was a Sega. I don't remember which one he got. I think it was Super
Okay.
Nintendo. But anyway, he got that, and then he comes home from school one day, and his parents like, "Hey, Pat, you got this package on the porch." And he's like, "What did I get? What are you talking about?" So he opens it, and he's like, "Oh my god, I forgot about I did this contest." And so he, like, won a TurboGrafx
Nice.
16. So that's how he got his, but I just thought that was pretty interesting. He has Pat has some really good, interesting videos
Stories
on the
and stuff.
TurboGrafx. But,
Okay.
but today when you said, "Hey, what should we talk about?" I just thought, "Let's talk about the TurboGrafx," because it's such a weird system.
Right, right. It's like dive into some of the beginnings of it here. I'm on the wiki page.
Wiki, wiki.
TurboGrafx, known as the PC Engine outside of North America, designed by Hudson Soft and sold by NEC Home Electronics. It was the first console marketed in the fourth generation, commonly known as the 16-bit era. Though the console has an 8-bit central processing unit coupled with a 16-bit graphics processor, and it was released in Japan in 1987 and in North America 1989. Trying to think any other fun. Let's see. The PC Engine was created as a collaborative effort between Hudson Soft, who created video game software, and NEC, a company that was dominant in the Japanese personal computer market with their PC-88 and PC-98 platforms. So that's interesting because you figure like, PC race, right? PC was always like better than a console because it had a better processing or whatever, right? They could play
Right,
better
you would
games.
think, for
S-
sure.
So you're like, all right, this, game company's teaming up with the computer company. Sounds like a pretty win-win. And let's see. Um, PC Engine made its debut in Japan market October 30th, 1987, and it was a tremendous success. The PC Engine had an elegant, eye-catching design and was very small compared to its rivals. PC Engine sold 500,000 units in the first week of release. Yeah, it's just so clean and nice looking for sure. I definitely dig the style of that, but we
Wouldn't
had to
you
get the
love to have
bulky
been,
one.
like, in a boardroom when, like, they were trying to, like, port it to America to be like, why did they made the design choices they made?
Right. I'm trying to see if it says anything about that here. They do have a few add-ons. They had a CD add-on so you can play CD games because we didn't even talk about the games. The games were in like this weird card format. It
What do they
wasn't
call
a
it, a hue card?
yeah, hue cards.
Like,
And
what a weird name, right?
they came in a CD case with the booklet,
Right,
and then when you opened it up, it was like in this little plastic wrapper and this little card that would
this little pouch. Yeah.
insert in there. In an effort to relaunch the system in North America market in mid 1992, NEC and Hudson Soft transferred management of the system in North America to a new joint venture called Turbo Technologies.
Oh, this is the
Um,
Turbo Duo they're talking about there.
oh, okay.
You're gonna have
Yeah,
to
the one
come
down
back a
here
little bit because I think this thing came out in, like, '89 maybe.
in the US.
I
Let's
think
see.
so.
It says Europe. I'm trying to see when it came out. America market. Here we go.
Oh, it says
88.
'88, NEC decided to expand to the American market and direct its US operations to develop the system for a new audience. NEC Technologies boss Ken Schaefer formed a team to test the system. They found out that there was a lack of enthusiasm for in the name PC Engine, and also felt its small size was not very suitable to American consumers who
Mhm.
would generally prefer a larger, futuristic design. They decided to call the system the TurboGrafx 16, a name representing its graphical speed and its strength in its 16-bit GPU. They also completely redesigned the hardware into a large black casing. The lengthy redesign process and NEC's wait, did I read this wrong? This lengthy redesign process and
Mhm.
NEC's questions about the system's viability in the US delayed the TurboGrafx 16's debut.
Right. So let's see. It went into the New York and Los Angeles test markets in late August. 1989. However, this
Okay,
was
so I was right, 89.
2 weeks after Sega of America released the Sega Genesis.
Okay, so they're already a step behind.
Sega did not waste time redesigning the original Japanese Mega Drive system, making only slightly aesthetic changes. So almost saying like, hey, if they didn't have to do a full redesign of this casing and like marketing and all this,
Maybe they would
they
have been on time.
they could have hit the market earlier and got the jump on it and maybe got those extra sales and hype for it.
That's so wild, right?
That could almost be a full episode of like how things have to get converted and be Americanized, like from coming over from Japan and stuff.
So this is slightly off topic, but also slightly on topic. But I was watching some TikTok or something recently. I can't remember what it was I was watching, but basically they were like asking what things were different in America than like in other countries, and they were
Mhm.
like, "Your cars are huge here. Like our cars are tiny. Why does everything have to be so big in America?" So that just kind of goes back to show, like, I don't know. I guess we think like bigger is better, maybe.
Yeah, it could come around to like how much money you're spending. You feel like you need to get more for that. So like if you get this tiny little like, what is that? Like I
Right. I
need
just
more.
paid $200 for a square.
Right. Where my VCR cost 150 and it's bigger than that.
Right. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's you feel like you got more for your money. I don't know.
Yeah. So they did have like a mascot, I guess you could say, right? Nintendo had Mario, Sega had, well, Alex Kidd, but then they kind of switched to Sonic,
Yeah.
right?
Alex Kidd was kind of a failure.
I thought I could have sworn. So when I think TurboGrafx, I distinctly think of Bonks and I think of Keith Courage.
So I think Keith Courage was the Alex Kidd of the TurboGrafx 16. I could be wrong. I mean, leave comments if I'm incorrect. So I think that was like the original like mascot they started with, and
Mhm.
then I think they quickly decided, you know, or maybe it wasn't quickly, maybe it was a few years later, decided that Bonk was more of a unique character that was like more recognizable with his
Right.
bulging head. Because I feel like I remember seeing like Bonk's commercials. So it had to be for
Yeah.
the TurboGrafx, unless it was for when it came out later on the NES, but I don't know.
Right. I
Like,
always end up forgetting that
I
it
do
came out
feel like I remember seeing Bonk on a commercial at some point and thinking like, "Whoa, what's this?"
because it
But
was.
their marketing sorry, go ahead, Russ.
I would say, yeah. I mean, it really stands out as a game. It's nice and bright colors, cool concept. I dig the art style. So you're like,
Yeah, me
okay,
too.
oh, this isn't on Sega. This isn't on Super Nintendo. What's TurboGrafx?
Right. The other thing too is, like, I just don't know if they did enough marketing here, and
Hmm.
I don't I don't even remember seeing the kiosk, like or like a TurboGrafx kiosk at Toys R Us to play it or test it or, like, see its capabilities, you know?
Right.
But the Super NES one is, like, burnt in my brain.
Right. Yeah. 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 Let's see. We have reception. Trying to see here in the States if it breaks anything of that. In Japan, the PC Engine was very successful. And at one point, it was the top selling console in the nation. In North America and Europe, the situation was reversed, with both Sega and Nintendo dominating the console market at the expense of NEC. Initially, the TurboGrafx 16 sold well in the US, but eventually it suffered from a lack of support from third party software developers and publishers.
And that could have been due to Nintendo's, like, practices back then, where they're like, "Hey, if you don't do what we want, then we're gonna, like, not give you X amount of whatever to games for
That's
that year," or
true,
whatever.
yeah. Like, if you had Konami essentially developing games for the TurboGrafx, then Nintendo could have cut them off and be like, "Listen, you can't release any games then this year on our system." And they knew
Right.
they were
That
selling some
that
good
was
games
probably their
there.
cash cow,
Right.
so there might have been some shady practices like that, but yeah, I don't know. It's just such a weird thing, like, it's amazing that it didn't really catch on because I think it was pretty much equally as good, you know?
Oh, yeah. We'll jump in with some more facts here for the library games. There is a total of 686 commercial games released for the TurboGrafx 16. In North America, the system featured Keith Courage in Alpha Zones as a pack-in game. Um, PC Engine console received strong third-party support in Japan, while the TurboGrafx 16 console struggled to gain the attention of other developers. Hudson brought over many of its popular franchises, such as Bomberman, Bonk, and Adventure Island, to the system, with graphical, impressive follow ups. Hudson also designed and published several original titles, such as Air Zonk, very expensive game, Dungeon Explorer, Compile, and Alien Crush, and Devil Crush. Two,
Which those last 2 games are just like pinball games, but
uh,
really well done.
right, so it says two well received virtual pinball games. Namco contributed several high quality conversations of its conversions, not conversations, conversions of its arcade games, such as Valkyrie no Dentetsu, Pac-Land, Galaga 88, Final Lap Twin, and Splatterhouse, as did Capcom with a port of Street Fighter II Championship Edition.
Ooh, I'd like to see that.
Nice. So they had some good titles on there from some of those third party developers for sure. Again, it's probably the promoting or even it being in stock at like stores like
Right.
Toys R Us, KB's. Like, was it at Bradley's and Sears? Well, Sears, you saw it on the wish book, you said. So maybe they had some there,
Yeah.
but I almost feel
I'd like
like
to
it's like a niche store to get
I'd
it.
like to go back in time and just, like, peruse a store and see what the, like, setup was for it and, like, the display and how they advertised it. I think that would be super interesting. Like, was it right next to the Super NES, the Genesis, and we just didn't notice it? Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I wonder if there's like pictures on Reddit or something like that.
I don't know.
TurboGrafx display in stores.
I
Maybe.
feel like the box stood out. Like, I have the mini box. I don't know where it is exactly right now,
Okay.
um, but it has, that, like, kinda, like, bright orange and that dude that I always think looks just like Zach Morris from Saved by the Bell in the front.
That might be your Zonk then, maybe? Or no?
No, 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 like,
Oh,
he's like
who is it?
it's like a regular dude, like, just playing the
Just
game.
holding it. Oh, okay.
I'm looking to see if I can find mine so I can
The
show you what I'm
box.
talking about.
I mean, I could just look up an image of the box.
Or that would work. Or
Turbo
that works.
16, but we did, rank all, console boxes the following week.
I think I gave this box a S tier, 'cause I thought it was sick.
Oh, that's right, here we go, this guy. Alright, let me bring it up. If you guys are watching on YouTube, you can check it out.
If you're not watching, just imagine Zach Morris, like, holding like, his face with, like, a jean jacket and then, like, a close up of him holding the controller with the console in tow.
I mean, it's just in your face entertainment super system.
Yeah, that sounds
It
cool, right?
shows the kid having fun, and he's playing the game right there. I feel like
It's almost like Nintendo Entertainment System, they just switched 2 of the words around,
yeah, I wonder if they kinda are playing off
played
of
off
that.
that.
I did find a kiosk someone has on Reddit here.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
So
Oh, okay.
here's a tabletop kiosk. It
Kinda cool.
shows, the system, it's got 1 game in there, and it's got a little, like, booklet thing you can go through and see what other games there are.
Yeah, they got, like, Bonk's Adventure and Utopia. I wonder what that thing at the bottom is, that
It
little
almost looks
baggie.
like a sweatband or something.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, it's
I
weird.
can't say I'd never seen this before.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. Reminds me of being 12 salivating over it at Toys R Us, that's funny.
So maybe it was at Toys R someone says, "Yeah, you saw this at Toys R Us?" Question mark. Well, more accurately, it was probably the one with the monitor on top of a pedal stool.
On a
So
pedestal, yeah, okay.
it might have been different
So
ones.
this sounds like they had a couple different ones, maybe just wiped from our memory.
Right. We were just so laser focused on Super Nintendo and Sega with the 16-bit wars with their TurboGrafx wasn't even a contender.
So, another thing that I think is really weird about the TurboGrafx is, like, that little shell. that they gave you to, like, put on the back to make it look more rounded and less like a T.
Okay. Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? That little
Yeah,
piece that slides on the back?
the little adapter.
Shout out to Megadan29 who sent me mine. Thank you, sir.
Right, because if you don't have that, then it's just, like,
Then it just looks
exposed or
weird. It looks like this, like a T, like a Mr.
like
T.
a Tetris piece.
Yeah. Yeah. So, another thing that's kinda neat is when I got mine, there was, this is obviously my mini, but my real one had, like, this it almost looked like the logo was peeling off right here,
Uh-huh.
and then but in my brain, I was like, you know how, like, sometimes with electronics, they put that thin piece of plastic, protective plastic? Sometimes you don't notice it on stuff for years until it starts to peel away, then you're like, "Oh my god, that's just had plastic on it the whole time." You know what
Right.
I'm talking about? So I started taking my fingernail and brushing at it, and then I saw a corner come up, and I peeled it off, and it was like this little plastic piece that had covered the TurboGrafx label, protecting it for, like, 30 years.
I thought you were
I
gonna
thought that
say
was so cool.
you peeled off the label completely and it was
No,
written.
no, nope, it was like this little protective cover. I took a chance, and I guessed right.
Nice. Well, I did have a treat. I sent Jay a picture. I forgot where I got this. Maybe it came in a store or something. But I have here a copy of Turbo Force. This is a TurboGrafx magazine. So yeah, it's
That's
Sega
so
Visions,
cool.
Nintendo Power, Turbo Force.
Wonder how
January
rare that is.
1993. It's a little bit beat up. On the back, it's got some ads here for the TurboGrafx CD Super System card and a couple of the games that are coming out for it. So I thought maybe I could kind of browse through here and
Yeah, peruse it.
give some tips and stuff. Let's see here because I don't think I ever looked through it before. They got news with the system. Super CD-ROM takes off. Shapeshifter, Shadow of the Beast of some games. Okay, so here's some previews for Bomberman 93, Battle Load Runner, Sim Earth, and Champ California. I don't know if you heard any of these games
And,
before, but
I mean, Sims I've heard of, but the rest of it Bomberman 93 I think I've heard of.
right.
Camp California, I never heard of that or whatever you said.
Let's read a little bit on Camp California. This looks very interesting. Garbage. It's everywhere and even seems to be multiplying all by itself. But some of us know better. Camp California is probably the first ever environmentally aware game.
Captain
Become a
Planet.
bear. Right. Become a bear or a pelican and clean up the mess that has been made. Your job is to pick up cans, banana peels, and any other trash you find that has not been properly disposed of. I don't know if that sounds fun or what, but
Sounds like a woke game. Probably was from California. Take that, Aaron Stapish.
let's see. We got Lords of Thunder. That's pretty epic.
That looks cool. He actually looks kinda like Keith Courage when he's in, like, in his alpha suit or whatever it is.
Right. Let's see. Looks like there's an RPG game here called Exile by Working Designs that looks pretty graphically awesome here. Get some screenshots of that. You know, very anime-ish.
Yeah, it does. Looks almost like Dragon Ball Z. Hey, you know what would have been really cool about being a original adopter of the TurboGrafx 16?
What's that?
I bet by the mid-90s, you could probably find that stuff dirt cheap when they were
Right.
liquidating it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh, so they got a spotlight of Dragon Slayer. And they have all
Oh,
the
that's cool.
characters here. And then it does go into some Japanese animation, the Bubblegum Crisis. I don't know. So I mean, it's
Weird.
obviously all this stuff is very anime, very Japan. So
That
that
must
could
be
be
for the
why,
CD.
right?
Maybe
It could
maybe
be for
why
the
it didn't
CD add-on.
translate well to America audiences.
Now, what is this? Turbo
Like
Style
if like
Cinema.
if I see a game called Bubblegum Crisis, am I gonna go buy that? Probably not.
Right, right. Looks like they're talking about some movies in here too for some reason. I don't know why.
Maybe just added content. Who knows?
Right, kind of what's going on with the world here. Oh, fansies. We got people that did some drawings. We got like Ninja Turtle right there.
That's sick.
So let's say,
Technic Case meant
very
that.
very similar to a Nintendo Power with, they have people write on the envelopes and
Fan
send it
art.
in.
Yeah.
Right. And then, okay, so they have a breakdown of there's the coming attractions, right? These are the
Okay.
games.
So it's like Pack Watch.
Yeah. It's just one page and it gives you a timeline. So we got in January, Buster Brothers on CD. February, Darkwing Duck, Legend of Hero Tonma, Lords of Thunder, and World Sports Competition. March is Bomberman and Riot Zone. April, Bonks 3, Bonks Big Adventure. And then what else we got? Other releases that they don't know: Blood Gear, Beyond Shadowgate, Cotton, Dungeon Explorer 2, Destiny Hero, Might and Magic 3, John Madden Football.
There you go. It was about that time.
Yeah. And they give you just, kind of one screen. Well, it looks like two screenshots of what the games kind of look like. And then I like the ad on the very next page says, "Are you still playing with toys?"
What's it show?
It's just black. That's it.
Oh,
I guess it's a close up of the system then.
okay. I didn't know if
Unless,
it was like
oh
making fun
wait,
of like an NES or something.
I got it. Then you flip the page. Get serious. Get the Turbo Duo.
I was about to ask, was this, were they really pushing the Turbo Duo at this point?
So what the Turbo Duo is it already has the CD attachment
Right.
on
You
it.
don't
You
have to
don't
have
have
that
to
weird
add it.
piece on the back.
Right. So
That's
they're
the
kind of,
one that Tyler got with his dad. They found the Turbo Duo because he said Turbo Duo.
if you're done playing with toys, we'll send you a free 20-minute video of the new Turbo Duo. It shows a VHS tape. Our software lineup while supplies
Run.
last. Just send your name, age, sex, and tell us which game system you use now to free video giveaway. Turbo
Wow. So
Technologies,
so
Los
they were trying
Angeles.
to do some market research for a free video. I
Right, so
would
it's
love
almost like
to know if that video is on YouTube.
I gotta look it up and see. It's showing a Turbo Duo system, 299.99 versus the Sega CD system. Sega CD attachable systems, 299 plus a Sega Genesis is 99.99. So you're spending 400. So they're showing you right there. You're spending $100 more to get that, where you could just get a Turbo Duo.
You could get a Turbo Duo
So what would that be called? The Turbo Duo um,
VHS.
VHS, I guess you just look up or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be
I
sick, dude.
I've never seen the only VHS I got in the mail was the Donkey Kong Country
Danky Kang.
tape. Someone has it on eBay,
Ooh, how much? A lot.
$155.
I was about to say probably expensive.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Is it on YouTube? Yeah.
If it's on, I'd like to just see what they show. Like, how extreme is it? It's mid 90s. It's got to be like, are you done playing with toys? If so, grab the Turbo Duo.
It's an 11-minute video, so we're not going to watch the whole thing, but you
Yeah,
can look
yeah,
it
we're not
up.
going to watch the whole thing.
Turbo
Show
Duo
the intro.
Power VHS promo. I don't know. Maybe not.
We got to talk about the TurboExpress in a minute here.
The slowest crawl ever. Let's get to it. There we
has
go.
been 1 megabit CD technology until now. 2 words describe a phenomenon that has arrived upon the scene like a force of nature. Turbo Duo Power.
Dude, this is so rad.
Oh my God,
Look at
that
those.
background.
It's like Nickelodeon. It's like Rocco Modern Life shirt.
Deeper, more compelling games with brilliant razor-sharp graphics, larger characters, more realistic animation,
Hadouken.
faster action, superior scrolling, deadlier bosses, scarier scaling, and more challenging levels of play. With the Turbo Duo, you can play standard turbo chip and 1 megabit CDs, as well as 2 megabit games. At $299.99,
That's cool.
Turbo Duo is the ultimate machine. With the
It kind of
That's
looks like
so cool.
it kind of looks like a
I l-
late night like QVC, like with all the scrolling and everything.
I'm not gonna lie, I love this.
If
I
I
love
got
everything
this
about it.
tape, I probably would have been hyped.
Yeah, right? I'm gonna be like, "Oh, dude, screw the Super NES, so you gotta get the Turbo Duo."
So guys, look that up. Turbo Duo Power VHS promo.
Oh,
Probably
yeah.
finish watching it after this. It's a little 11-minute video.
Yeah, that's so sick. I love it.
I dig it.
So, uh, the TurboGrafx was also cool because they had was it the TurboExpress?
Right. It was a
And
handheld.
here's what makes the TurboExpress so awesome. You don't have to buy different games. It takes the same hue card as the TurboGrafx.
Right.
Like
Essentially, it was like the Nomad for the Sega system, right?
exactly, exactly. And it's yeah, like I remember like Tyler on one of his videos talked about one of his friends' dad had it, so he could play some like military style like combat game where you like had to like I guess strategically plan your battle or whatever. But such a neat system.
And they had add-ons with like, right, the TV or whatever you can watch.
Oh, well, I know the TV tuner was for the Game Gear, but maybe they had it for the Express as well.
Like I don't know what this is. Turbo
Enemies
Vision.
Estate. That's so cool.
Picked up a Turbo Express not long ago, enjoying it thus far. Yeah, I don't know what this one is here on the side, but fairly. I'd say it's almost like a Game Gear on its side, right? It's not that big.
Yeah. No, it's not that big.
I feel like the Nomad was probably bigger. Well, also because it has to take the thickness of a Sega Genesis cartridge, right?
That's right. That was the other cool thing. It was already like a hue card was already like a perfect size for like a portable system.
Right.
Just like you could almost carry one in your wallet, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Your credit card.
Let's see. I think we're gonna jump in and see what you guys were talking about. We asked the community, said, "Hey, give us your stories. Tell us about TurboGrafx, and we'll see what you have."
I want to read one. I've already told this person I want to read their
What did you say? What did you say?
Springfield, let's hear from you.
All right. Let's see. We got our Facebook page. A few people wrote in on here. Aaron says, it was the first console I ever owned that I didn't also have to share with my younger brothers. When we got an NES for Christmas, it was one gift for all three of us. Same with the SNES. I remember one day my parents came home from a day of shopping and my mom handed me a pick and save bag and told me that it was for me only.
wow.
Inside was the TurboGrafx 16. I never even heard of this store, Pick and Save.
Yeah, I wonder what that is.
PIC, the letter N, and save. She only paid $50 for it. Since then, it's been one of my favorite consoles. I currently own 4 of them, a Turbo Express, and numerous PC engines and Turbo Duos. Such a great system. Nice. That's a great story. Brandon, I was a very poor kid growing up in a family with 10 kids. Wow. I had to wait 9 turns just to play on the NES, Genesis, and 64 at different times growing up. Honestly, I didn't even know the system existed until I got into retro gaming. Now I have the Mini, which is excellent. And then we got our buddy Aldo. I never owned one as a kid, but I always sighed with jealousy seeing it showcased on the old Babbage's catalog. Thanks to the TurboGrafx Mini, I've been able to explore games like Blazing Lasers and Bomberman 93. Also, instantly fell in love with this banger of a track. So he
Oh, he
gave
sent
us
us a link.
a little YouTube link of it's going to open up in a new window. It's from Bomberman 93, though. Will you be able to hear it? Let me know if you can hear it.
All right, I'll let you know.
Can you hear it? It's playing.
I hear nothing.
Okay. I guess I would have to share that screen. Well, that was the last comment there. We'll get a little glimpse of this Bomberman track right here, and then we'll read our other comments.
almost has like an Indian feel to it.
I was gonna say, oh, like Egyptian or like
Yeah,
pretty neat.
cool.
I dig it. Thanks, Aldo. All right, we'll jump over to our community page.
I want to
Let's
read
see.
the one from Chris Courage when you get to that one.
Yeah. So Pixel Plus jumped in. I just
Ooh,
remember seeing commercials for it all the time, but barely knew a soul who actually owned one. Interesting to think the marketing seemed good, at least to a kid, but not enough to make it count.
that is
Exactly.
very true.
Very true. Um,
Er,
this is all Jay
All
right
right, you
here.
ready?
Yep.
Here it goes. Chris Courage. What a great name. Keith Courage. This was my first game console when I was a kid and is my favorite to this day. The time had come that my parents were going to let me get a game console. Prior to this, I was an Apple II gamer. Both the Genesis and TurboGrafx 16 had just come out, but for whatever reason, I just kept looking at the TG16 and could care less about the Genesis. I remember seeing both of the systems on display at Montgomery Ward's Electric Avenue. The launch lineup of the Turbo just seemed way more appealing, so that's what I decided to go with. I w- it was going to take me a little over a year to save up the money as I didn't have a job at the time. So a few birthdays and Christmases later, man, what a patient kid. I had saved up enough. Instead of getting a new system, I was able to find a bundle with the CD drive at a local pawn shop. That was a killer deal. A little over $200 for the system, the entire CD drive setup, two controllers, the Turbo Tap, Keith Courage, and three CD games, typically worth at least $50 a piece. A year later, I ended up with for a lot of games for it as my dad found out that the local box office video was selling off all their rental TG16
Wow.
stock. My dad picked up one copy of every game they had for $5 a piece. What a steal. I always look forward to trips to Toys R Us so I could look at all the other games. I didn't have to stare. I didn't have I
Take a
didn't
look at
have
the
and
other games.
stare
Yeah.
at the Turbo kiosk. Nowadays, I have a sizable collection, and my second job is repairing and modifying these consoles. I could keep talking about the TurboGrafx for hours, but I should probably shut up and leave room for others to comment.
Chris, that was an epic story. I love it.
I know, right? I was so epic. I was like, "Oh, I got to read this," and then I did a terrible job reading it. So sorry. I thought in my mind's eye, I was going to do it more justice than that. So sorry.
And that's awesome that his dad was like, "Yo, they're selling these games. Let me get one of every game because it's only $5 a piece. Like, let's just clean them out and he'll be able to enjoy all these other games." And that
And
bundle was great too that he got.
yeah, I mean, who knows how many rentals they had? Was it like 5, 10, 15, 20? Like
That is true. They probably had, what do you think, maybe 10 games to choose from, 20
probably,
max? Like, because you're going to be
yeah,
stock if you're a rental store, you're obviously going to be stocking heavily on Nintendo, Super Nintendo,
right.
Sega, and all
But
those. And
maybe not TurboGrafx. Yeah,
mhm,
probably didn't rent very well, so they didn't sell many. Yeah,
hence why they were selling it off. Yeah.
right.
All right, we got Nexus. He said, I got the system as a kid and only had 3 games before moving on to the 16-bit consoles. Keith Courage in the Alpha Zones was the pack in, was decent enough, but Bonk's Adventure outshined it as a platformer. I also somehow had Splatterhouse at the
Wow,
tender age of 8, too.
amazing.
Gotta say, that was the creepiest game I've ever seen at the time. Yeah, they did a good job with Splatterhouse on there for sure. Freaking
I
using
had
a
no idea how lucky he was with that.
2 by 4 to smash. Well, I mean, he was probably watching Friday the 13th as well, right? When it
Yeah,
came
but
out.
what I'm saying is like that's like one of the more like sought after games that now, and he had it as a
Oh,
kid.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's
as a kid.
pretty lucky. It's like somebody buying you like Little Samson as a kid. Like, oh, I just happened to have that when I
Right.
was a child.
And then we got Phoenix Cerberus. Growing up on the wrong side of the tracks only afforded us one console as kids, and Nintendo was king of the hill until Sony showed up. Was only able to buy my TurboGrafx 16 until about a year ago, and even then, I haven't been able to play it. It won't turn on. It probably needs to be recapped like many of my older consoles do now. especially the obscure ones like the Atari Jaguar, Lynx, and Game Gear. Surprisingly, Nintendo consoles are pretty sturdy and stood the test of time. Yeah, I guess they didn't have a lot of
Yeah.
caps and stuff on there. Look,
Yeah.
Chris chimed in on his comment. Hey, I actually repair these consoles. Lots of times when people say TurboGrafx won't power on, the problem is usually a bad RF port. Have you been able to test the system with any kind of rare expansion port adapter that provides a better video quality? That is one thing we didn't bring up. The TurboGrafx connected via RF, not
That's
AV.
right.
You had to get a
Yeah.
converter to go AV.
Yeah, which I have one now. I did a really good video on the TurboGrafx called Frankensteining the TurboGrafx 16. And I was
Oh,
really
okay.
proud of my thumbnail that I made. It's pretty lame, but I like it.
Fair enough.
It was Frankenstein and he's pointing at the TurboGrafx.
Perfect. How many
I
views
know.
again? Is it on there now?
I have no idea. Yeah, I'm sure it's on there.
Let's
Any
pull
aesthetic, Frankenstein and TurboGrafx 16. Or you could probably just type my name in TurboGrafx 16.
Turbo. NES Attic Turbo.
Let's
Oh,
see that. Let's see that
I
that
thought
thumbnail.
Frankenstein was going to be bigger. He's a little guy. There
Yeah,
he
this you
is.
gotta remember this was like 10 years ago. I was an idiot.
7 years ago. Look, there's young Jay.
Yeah.
What
Wow. Look at
today we're going to talk about how to Frankenstein together a TurboGrafx 16. All that and more
I
next.
was wondering if you're going to do the all that and more.
not quite as intense as now.
All that and more, I guess. Coming up.
Yeah. So
Nice.
that's my TurboGrafx 16 that I got from the Video Game Cavern. I always
Okay.
have to give them a shout out.
Yeah.
And when I went, I don't remember how it came about that Robin told me that she had one, but she said, "Look, I don't know how to test it. I don't know if it works. If you want to take a chance on it, $10."
Well,
So
let's
what
see.
I found out
Yeah.
was someone. What was that top comment? Someone wrote, "Dude, thank you,
Well, this is
thank you."
1 year ago. I won
I
one
won
from a
one.
Goodwill auction, and I was like, "How am I going to test this thing?" Now to find a game, which will be next to impossible.
That's so cool. But basically, what I found out is you can take a specific Sega adapter, which I explained. I think it's like the MK2 2013 or something, and then you can take a Nintendo RF switch.
Okay.
So that's why I called it Frankensteining, because you have a
Right.
Sega adapter, you have a Nintendo RF, and then you have a TurboGrafx 16. So you have like one of each, all three, and it works.
I dig it.
Yep. And if you flip the switch, you'll see your TV change like to white.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting enough. There you go.
So even if you
Frankenstein.
don't have a game, you can see if it works.
See if it pops on. We did have a caller. Someone left a voicemail. I don't know if it's related to the TurboGrafx or not, but we could give it a listen. If you guys wanted to call in the show, it's listed in all the descriptions of the video on our website, theweeklywarpipe.com, or just put this in your phone and you can give us a buzz. 949-682-9277. That's 949-682-WARP. Leave us a voicemail. We'll play it on the show.
I keep dreaming, dreaming about my dream phone.
It's for you.
Hey, I was just calling to see if you guys had a little Samson. Do you guys have a little Samson in stock? No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, I called to say something, and then as I was calling, I completely forgot. But I do remember the second part.
That's
With
like me.
Pac-Man Case was on the latest episode.
Yes.
He was talking about Nintendo Power, and there's a Pokemon card that's like, if it's in there, then it's worth money. Not that it's worth like a crazy amount of money, if this is the one he's talking about. But there's, if you guys remember the e-reader, you got your e-reader,
Mhm.
you hook it up to the GameCube. If anybody remembers that, we loved it in my household when it came out. We would go like to GameStop all the time and get these Animal Crossing cards. And, for Animal Crossing on the GameCube, you scan these cards and you get stuff in the game, and it was cool. But anyways, those cards are worth a lot of money now. I wish I would have kept them, but I have gone and bought Like I do have some, but not the original ones I had as a kid. But
Gotcha.
so, anyways, the card is like that, and it's in this Nintendo Power, and so yeah, if it's in there, it's worth money. If this is one he's talking about, it's a Pokemon Eon ticket or something. So you scan it, and you get to go to
Okay.
this special island in the game that you only go to if you scan this card. So that's why it's like so valuable. You know, people love that game. They want the card to scan to go to the island. So, anyways, I was
That's cool.
collecting Nintendo Power, and I seen this magazine on eBay. It was a lot of like 5 or 10 Nintendo Powers I don't remember, but one of them was the Nintendo Power that would have the ticket in
With the
it.
card. Okay.
So I was like, it's kind of a long shot. Because there was no pictures of the magazine and like the
Take
inside,
a
and it
gamble.
didn't even acknowledge it could have a ticket in there or whatever. It's just like they didn't know. But I was like, yeah, it's probably not going to be in there. But I wanted them anyway, so I ordered it, and then it came in, and I had that ticket in it, like still
Nice.
attached. You know, they were all in good condition. So I was like, no way. They must not have known. But
I
yeah,
wonder what
if
the
that's
cover
what
of
he's
that
talking
is.
about, that was kind of cool. I did find one too, but most of the time you see those Nintendo Powers on eBay or wherever, they don't have the ticket in them. But
Right.
anyways, all right, guys. Thanks. Bye.
Sweet.
I wonder what issue that was, or what the cover was.
I could probably do a Google search on that one. Nintendo Power.
Hey, also, while Russ is searching this, in the future, I don't know if you said who you were at the beginning, but tell us your name so we know, like, hey, it's John from Kentucky, or whoever you are. Let us know, so that way we can acknowledge you appropriately,
That's true. I don't think anyone ever says where they're from. They just say
or who they are. They just start talking. I love it.
right. Let's see here. Came across a Pokemon card. No, that's a Pikachu. He said it was something different.
Yeah, I don't know.
So I wonder if it's this one. Pokemon. It's hard to narrow it down because there are a lot of Nintendo Powers with just Pokemon in it. But I'm like,
Right.
I want to know which one it is with the card in it. So,
What was the word he used? He called it a ticket or something. What do you call it?
oh, like he was calling it a ticket, but he was
Maybe
mentioning the e-reader,
maybe
e-reader card,
maybe
right?
Secret Island e-reader card or something. Nintendo Power Secret Island e-reader. Yeah, I didn't know anything about that because I didn't have GameCube and was not gaming at that point in my life. I was
Okay, here it
more
is.
worried about hockey.
What? Why is this? All right, this guy's selling it on eBay for an absurd amount. I assume this is what it is. He has it in some like framed up
So
plastic. There.
it's got an ad on the front.
Yeah.
I wonder what
So Eon ticket,
oh,
it's called.
okay, that's what he
Says
said. It was
here.
an Eon ticket.
So it's like it's giving you a ticket to get to the island. That's what they're scan it and then travel to a secret island and own it. So they're showing you. I guess you would peel the card back maybe to use it or
Oh, very
something. I'm
cool.
not 100% sure. Can I see when does it say what issue this is? I mean, it's a later one because it has Game Boy Advance and everything. It's got Star Wars Rebel Strike on the
Next
cover.
time they have a bunch of Nintendo Powers, I'll be looking for that.
Yeah, 2003 Pokemon Eon ticket. So pretty neat. All right. Anything else you want to talk about on TurboGrafx and wrapping up this episode here?
Do you have one?
I don't. No, I never got one. My buddy David Apuzzo had bought one, and I don't think he ever ended up playing it. I forget if he was buying it for his brother because his brother really wanted to play. What was one of the shooters on that one?
Blazing Lasers.
I thought it was Blazing Lasers, but I don't think it's that one. I think it's R-Type.
Oh, okay,
R-Type.
yeah.
Because I heard that one's really good on there. But yeah, I
Yeah.
never got one recently. They had always been pretty expensive, and then if you get into it, the games itself are expensive. I would do so. My plan was, if I got a TurboGrafx 16, I would just get a TurboGrafx EverDrive card.
That's
Just
smart.
It
Yeah.
just that's like $200, fine. Then I have all the games on there because some
Right.
of the games are $200 or more.
So I'll tell you what I did. 'Cause I have just like a couple thoughts left I want to say about it. So I got mine purely for the novelty of it and the fact that it was $10. I couldn't say no, right? So I got Keith Courage, and I've actually beaten that game. And the other game I have is Bonk's Adventure, and that's it. I'm never gonna get another game for it just because it's like I really don't play it that often. It's just a neat novelty that I can kind of like, oh yeah, I'd actually end up getting this weird thing that I saw as a kid that I didn't know what it was. But to kind of fulfill that need to like explore the library further, that's why I got the mini for my birthday that year because then I can kind of test some of the other games. And I don't really play it that often, if I'm being honest. I mean, most of the time I'm going to NES or Super NES. Um, so that's one thing I wanted to say about it. The other thing I want to say about it is, um, for some reason, I lump the TurboGrafx 16 in with the uh, the Sega Master System as far as just like really strange looking systems.
Okay, okay.
They're I think it's because they're both long and they're both
Mhm.
black and
Yes.
they're kind of lesser known, at least as far as when I was a child. I think I saw the Master System once, never saw the TurboGrafx other than in pictures.
Yeah,
So I just kind of associate them with like these weird oddities of the gaming world that I just didn't know much about as a kid.
makes
But
sense. Yeah.
that's really all I want to say about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm lucky enough now that because of technology and people being able to hack systems and all this, I have my SNES Classic, which my buddy hacked for me, and it's easy for me to stream that way because it's a HDMI system, and he put different systems on there with the games. TurboGrafx is on there and TurboGrafx CD with I think all the games. So it's easy access to it to play. I played through, what was the Golden Axe game, I think it was
Yeah,
in there, and some Keith Courage and this and that. The only thing, I would prefer if I had the TurboGrafx Mini so I can use
controller.
the controller so it's more like I'm playing the system because then I'm just using whatever, it's like the Wii Pro controller to play the
Right.
game. Because then, I need turbo. That's the whole thing with the TurboGrafx. It had a turbo function, right? So a lot
Built
of these
into the
shooters,
controller.
right? You got to use the turbo to get past it.
You probably feel a little less like you're cheating because it's like they give it to you right there. It's on the
Right,
controller.
right. You're like they threw it in,
So
right?
yeah. So it's fair. All's fair.
We'll see. Maybe if you guys like this, we can dive back into another turbo episode. Maybe me and Jay do some more like playing the games of research and we do our maybe like ranking video or our top 10 turbo games. Who knows? Something like that can be a
Yeah.
good time.
Or we could talk about other weird systems like the Master System.
Or what else is there? I was gonna say Sega Saturn. That's not really a weird system. Like what's the other CD systems that are weird? 3DO, the 3DO
Yeah,
system.
3DO. Yeah.
That's super
Now, my
weird.
knowledge on that is minimal. I'd have to do some research.
Right. I feel like some of those very odd. We could always talk about the Sega CD. I feel like that kind of
Yeah.
stood out a little bit. So
Yeah.
future episodes, we'll see.
There you go.
Hey, let's see. We got quick shout out to our Patreons. We got Dan and Nicole's Treasures Untold, Joe Sheevy, Trace Livingood, Samantha Chang, Rodney Torres, Retroholic 16, and Austin Mills supporting on Patreon. You can head over to patreon.com/Russ Lyman if you want to support the show. Call in, check out the weeklywarpipe.com for all the good stuff. Oh, we did have an order. Someone ordered a mug and a t-shirt of the Weekly
Sweet.
Warpipe. So I'm sending that out this week. So if you do want to get some
So
merch,
so if you're listening, take a picture, stick it on Instagram or something, or YouTube or wherever, and tag us so we can see you in it.
yeah,
That'd
much
be cool.
appreciate it. Yeah, I dig it. Sweet guys. Well, appreciate you hanging out, listening, watching, always being here. As always, I'm Russ Lyman. Keep your world fun bit by bit. Also, we need a slogan because I feel like that's my slogan, right? And I'm just saying it to close out. So
So we need a slogan.
call in, give us a slogan, something with. I mean, it's got to be like, and that was the Warp Pipe. Thanks for jumping in and going back and reliving some nostalgia. That's way too long, but something in that aspect.
All right, we'll get on it. This week
Perfect.
we'll be brainstorming.
Brainstorming.
New
All right.
outro.
Have a great weekend.